how to build a marriage, a family, and a law firm that helps other families. Today on the Pollinator Podcast.
So tell us, why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us what you do?
Well, we're husband and wife estate planning and elder law firm in Brooklyn. We handle everything from, young couples to older people, from birth to death, essentially. We do wills, trusts, estates, taxes, probate, administration, Medicaid planning, and nursing home planning.
So what happened was we were partners in previous firms, right, with other partners at, I think, 2 other firms. And as typically happens, partnerships fizzle out over disagreements over many different things. And it turns out that pretty much the only partnership that seems to work for us is with each other because, well, one, we're married and the money goes in the same pot, right? And we have the same objectives in terms of this is a long-term thing for not just for us, but for the people that we work with, as opposed to, I don't want to disparage them, but it seems like it was more very selfish on interest on the other partners who we were with, right? So we also wanted to change the way we do things, right? So lawyers are very stuffy, old school. They don't like married to.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
The books and this, that, and the other thing. And you walk into an office and you're just like, oh my God, this is going to be so boring. So for our office, there is no legal books anywhere. There really is no legal stuff anywhere. It's more, we're not as into like fashion and art. I'm into sports, right? So that stuff. Everything is technology-wise. We're a paperless law office. Everybody's got 2 double monitors, 34 inches each on their screens. I have a stand-up desk. You can work from home, work from the office. And I think COVID really accelerated that for us because whereas everybody was dying, oh my God, we can't go to the office, we can't do this, we can't get to our files. We didn't miss a beat. We actually had, at that point in time, our highest revenue was that year. And then ever since then, we've increased our revenue year after year. So we started, and believe it or not, Renata's been doing this for how long?
26 years.
26 years. I've been doing it for 20. And
we met at our old firm, actually.
Yeah. I was going to say, I want to hear an origin story. Like, how did you guys meet? Okay.
So I was a young pup, right? And when I graduated from law school, I went to school at night, and I was working at the Manhattan DA's office during the day. And I thought I was going to be hired by them because, I was the starting shortstop on the softball team, right? So, but that didn't work out because they were not making offers until June, and I was not graduating without an offer. So I had applied to all the major DA's offices around the country, and Miami gave me an offer early in April. So I snatched that up. Went down to Florida, took the bar exam there, became a prosecutor there, but my family's from New York. So as much as Miami is fantastic, and sometimes I'm like, why am I back here looking at bricks and gray skies when I was in sandals and T-shirt every day and palm trees? But my family was there, right? So when I came back, I took the bar on vacation, passed, and then a couple of months later, I came back to New York. And I wound up joining Renata's firm, where she was my boss.
I was not your boss at the time. That's not true.
Legal disclaimers here.
We've had some of these other kind of stories pop up in these podcasts before.
If the Me Too movement was alive back then, I would have made millions. Put it that way.
He says that all the time. I did interview him, though. I do have to say. I had been at the firm for 10 years, and I was not a partner at the time. He came in as a litigation associate, and I interviewed him, and it was a firm full of women.
She became a partner like 3 months later.
Maybe. That's true.
Right.
But we actually, we really didn't work together. We didn't talk much until a matter was going to trial, and we had to prep for trial together. And we just started spending more and more time together, and we just realized we really like each other's brains.
This is where I could say she was my second chair. I was first chair. But she was still my boss.
He knew the trial technique. I knew the law.
Yes. Well, it was a lot of fun. I'm Catholic. My mother's Irish Catholic. My father was Filipino Catholic. Super Catholics. I mean, I don't go to church anymore. But my mother raised 2 kids, and they both married Jewish people. Right? But but my mother, she loves Renata, right? Because she was a great mother, right? So even when we went through with the rabbi and the priest, like that pre-marriage counseling thing, they would ask, "Oh, so what led you to connecting with each other?" I'm like, "Oh, our brains." And the priest was a client of mine. He's also my same age, and he's like, "Bullshit, Terence." He goes, because you're both attractive. I said, no, I'm serious. It was the brain. Like we actually have a conversation every day. It's the conversation. And bullshit, Terence. I was like, all right, fine, whatever. But
yeah, there's a lot of attractive ladies out there, Father. Come on.
Yeah, and I'm not attractive. I guess I'm handsome, but I'm not like Brad Pitt. I mean, this one over here is.
I'll stop it.
Anyway.
That's why we're still married.
So that's, and then it just grew from there. Of course, kind of kept it on the hush hush.
I was about to say, were there HR regulations that you couldn't date, or no, there was
Nothing like that, but she was my boss.
It wasn't that big of a firm where there was HR, but yes, I was his boss. And I'd been there for a very long time. This new kid coming in, he was a kid. I mean, he's 30. Now he was a kid, and everybody was just, they thought he was a player too.
They were stunned because everyone was afraid of Renata. Super intimidated. They thought that she was like Russian KGB, don't cross her, she'll slice you. Right? And then I just saw a teddy bear, and they're like, how do you just talk to her like that? I said, because she's a human being. Maybe just talk to her, right? And then all of a sudden she kind of softened up, and then people kind of found out we were dating.
And it was hard to keep that a secret.
But it was a great wedding. I mean, the whole firm was there. They still talk about it.
How long did you guys date before you got married?
2 years.
2 years, yes.
2 years. It would have been faster, except, is that TMI?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I can't see.
We bought our house before we got married, did all that, and then we got married.
And then our parents met. So we have, even though we I guess you could say different worlds, different cultures, but same values. So it was seamless. It was
very similar.
Very similar. So every single holiday on all holidays, whether it be Catholic holiday, Jewish holiday, whatever, even though her mother makes bagels and bacon on Jewish holidays. I'm like,
we're not practicing.
Definitely not kosher. Right? So we all spent holidays together. We just became one big family. My in-laws. They go to my sister's house, so we hang out with their in-laws. So we're all a family, not by blood, but I think the truest sense of the word, we're family. So then we started having kids, all girls.
Oh, and how old are your girls?
19, 12, and 9.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, we got a boy and a girl. Ours are 13, about to turn 14 next month, and then our little girl's 11. Little girl. I keep trying to say little girl. She does not think so.
They get a lot bigger.
So the 19-year-old, if you do the math, you'll figure out what the TMI thing was. But in any event, she's my daughter, right? So I've had her since she was 3. In fact, she just came home from college today because we're having a block party with all her friends. I was in the backyard. I wasn't expecting all these girls to come in the back, and she opens the sliding door, and I'm like, oh, I'm not really dressed. I'm in my bathing suit here. But
a bunch of college kids coming.
Hello, ladies. Hello, ladies. So now we have, what do we have? Sienna. So we got Sienna, and then there's Kira. Kira's in she's 12 years old. I was going to say 12th grade. She might as well be in 12th grade. She's in 7th grade. But she looks like me, but she is definitely her mother. But she's into sports, right? So like last weekend, she had an interception at her flag football game. Very happy dad.
But she needed to make sure that she had full makeup on she did that.
Yes.
So funny. So our daughter also, it's her 3rd year playing flag football, and they put instead of the eye black, they put like glitter and sparkles, and they do their hair with frillies.
So great to see that. You do this like very like boy sport, but you have all the makeup on.
So
Oh yeah,
a good friend of
they
mine
go
is.
sweet girly, and then they get on the field. It's like, I will kill you.
Like it's much more. They're much more aggressive with each other and like the smack talk and
It's
all
fantastic.
that than when our son did it. It's
Yeah.
not.
And I bring music to the game, so I'll play like Ozzy Osbourne or like AC/DC, you know. And then my kids are looking at me like, Dad. I'm like, listen,
You have to have fun too.
we got to get in the game here. And really, the only reason we joined is because we know the commissioner. He's a CPA, and he told me that they have concessions like sausage and peppers on Saturday mornings. I'm like, oh, we're joining. So I always tell them like, you're in this. I don't care how well you play. This is Daddy's breakfast of champions for Saturday.
Well, at least yours on Saturday mornings. Ours on Friday nights.
Oh, Friday Night Lights.
Every
That's
Friday
even
night.
better.
Yeah.
You see, we're in Brooklyn. We don't have the Friday Night Lights.
And it's like the whole league. So they like have 2 practice fields at a park, and they like cut them up into 3 flag football fields. And so there's just kids running around, and like the little itty bitty kids start at like 4:30 or something, and Lily's last game was at like 8:15.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's
They better have
it's a
concessions
while.
and hopefully some adult beverages as well.
Well, the not at the park, but it's actually right next to a little bar, and so parents will very regularly like be seen drifting off between games and come back. That's all those big Stanley Cups came in handy because literally they'll come out and have one of those like high noons or whatever, like tucked away in those cups.
I'm into the Surfside now.
Yeah, that reel going around where it's like someone takes a sip and they're like, "That's not water." Like, yes, that is
Very much so.
very common on the field.
So, Terrence, though, I'm interested because we were in Miami at the same time that we just moved down in 2004.
Yeah.
We still saw like that transformation of the Wynwood area, which was like it was all just warehouses and stuff, and then by like 2008, it was already insanity.
It's booming. I lived in Sunny Isles at first, not on the beach, but across the street with a roommate. And then I moved a little bit closer because it was like a 45-minute commute. I moved to North Miami Beach. And I had 2 other roommates, which was great. And I was like $1 in the red or the black each month in terms of just making it, because you don't make any money as a prosecutor, but it was a lot of fun. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't care. The reason why I could get in everywhere is because I had a badge. So if I didn't have 17 women with me or $1,000 bankroll, it didn't matter. I'm just coming in to have a drink. And oh, go ahead, sir. Right? Meanwhile, everybody else you're not coming in unless you have either one.
Behind the velvet rope.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it was I was out all the time. But it was transient. Like as soon as you make friends with somebody, then they're gone
100%.
6 months later.
Yeah.
I think listen, you got to give a place a chance. So if I had stayed there, I'm sure a lot of my friends who did stay from the Northeast, they had families, they settled down, and they're still there. But
if you would have stayed, you would have never met me.
Well, that's what I say all the time.
Yeah, it was the greatest exodus he ever had was going back.
I'll take you over the palm trees any day of the week, honey.
So I'm originally from the north part of Florida, so like Gainesville, not too far from Jacksonville.
Gator, yeah.
We moved down like literally right out of college, and I was teaching, and Shannon got her master's and worked in South Miami Hospital. She ended up taking a job in corporate sales for CVS, and that moved us up to Orlando. So we're also moving back up north from Miami, not quite as drastic.
Well,
only a couple.
I tell you, with the way the environment's going, the beaches just keep on eroding. So her parents have a place on Gold Ocean Drive,
Fort
Fort Lauderdale. And when we first started going down there 15 years ago, the beach was pretty big. Now it's
smaller and smaller.
And smaller. And I think Orlando, Austin, Jacksonville are probably gold mines, in terms of Florida real estate, especially Orlando.
Well,
people are moving here.
My parents still live on the farm on the up in the north, and it's literally as far away from the ocean as you can get in Florida. It's like an hour and a half east or west. I used to joke with Dad all the time. It's like, we're never selling any of this land because, in 100 years we may be beachfront property.
You will be beachfront property. Absolutely. And it's funny because a lot of real estate development is going towards St. Augustine. You would think that, the sleepy town. No, that place is gold mine. I tell people, if you want to buy there. Buy up north, Jacksonville, Orlando area, mid Florida or North Florida.
The firm that y'all started at, was that also like all estate elder planning, or was that okay? So that's been pretty much, Renata, your whole career has just been focused in?
My entire career. I started working in law school for the Counsel to the Public Administrator, who is appointed by the judge in the court we work with. And I stayed there until I graduated, and shortly thereafter, I went to another firm in Brooklyn, and I stayed there for 18 years. That's where we met. And I thought that was going to be the rest of my life. Yeah. Turns out, we went out on our own. We weren't even planning it. It just happened, and we did it. Best move we ever made.
That's what I was wondering, is if you guys kind of went your separate ways and then came back together, or you guys just decided like, no, we're gonna start our own firm, we're gonna separate out and do our own thing. And like, how did that happen?
Yeah, we weren't leaving each other, right? So it was, I think in the initial firm where we met, we kind of became.
We were managing
the firm together, right? And then the managing partner was much older, and we thought, and everyone around him thought, that it was a great succession plan, but the person who didn't think, I guess, it was a great succession plan was the managing partner, right? And his family. So when we were going to leave, at first I was going to go and take a job in Manhattan, the state litigation firm. I was not wanting to do that. And
our little daughter at the time, so we had the 3 kids. One was in middle school, and the little one was 1 year old. So we were not thinking we were going to do that at that time. But, it really wasn't a plan. It was just kind of things happened, and we looked at our situation. We said, are we going to go work for somebody? And there were firms that were recruiting us to work together as partners in the firm. And it wasn't for us. So we just said, all right, let's just close our eyes and go for it.
Yeah. And it worked out because I call it the Holy Trinity. We have our house is 11 blocks away from our office, and our office is 3 blocks away from the kids' school. Yeah, so the commute is nothing. My friends always go, so what do you ride, like a bike or a Vespa? And I said, no, it's a scooter. And I said, well, how's your commute? An hour, this, that. Yeah. And I say to myself, I used to do that, and I can't imagine ever going back to doing that.
I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's no.
Well, and where I grew up, it was like a half an hour, 45 minutes to pretty much anything. And so I totally wasn't, I told myself like, oh, I'm not worried about commutes. I'm used to commutes. But what I realized when I moved to Miami is I don't mind commute time. I mind traffic. Like just sitting in traffic and stop and go just drives me insane. And so now we moved up to Orlando, like I always just work from home here. Like that was a great choice. And so now
our kids ride their bikes to school. We're so close. Yeah. Like,
I love not getting up. The kids are like, okay, we're going to get up, make our breakfast, and walk to school. Sure. No problem.
Bye.
That's exactly how it goes now.
See you when you get home. Love you.
So y'all had been married for a while before you started the firm and broke out.
We were married for 8 years.
8 years?
No, I'm sorry, 6 years. 6 years. 2012 to 2018. So 6 or 7 years. 7 years. Then we broke out. Firm really officially started January 1st, 2019, and just grew year over year. But I think the biggest thing for us is, I think like you, our mantra is we work to live. We don't live to work. I think that also benefits our clients, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because our clients then, the representation surrounded by that, as opposed to, I'm going to make money off it.
Right.
Very true.
And so we don't really like to bill hourly. We really like to give flat fees. I like to say this practice area is very relatable, as opposed to, say, if I was a criminal defense attorney or a corporate attorney, or like everybody needs this type of legal work, right? Your mom, your dad, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your friends. So then all of a sudden, you don't realize it, but by concentrating on your family, that means you're all out and about, right? With all these social activities for the kids and stuff like that. You meet other families, and they find out what you do, and then if they like you, they're like, oh, business is all really about. I mean, I'm not saying that we're special, but Renata likes to say,
we're just good at what we do.
Right. So, but I think it's because I like to do business with people I like.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's really it. And if I'm sitting here sizing you up by saying, I'm going to spend my Memorial Day weekend working off this $25,000 retainer at $500 an hour, I look at the attorney, I go, that sounds miserable.
Yeah.
I want to be off, and I want to be playing pickleball with my kids, or doing something like something like that. That we're doing this to get more time, I think, right? To do with what we please.
Well, we think that a lot. I hear that a lot, but that's usually a pretty rude awakening for a lot of folks at first when they move into being just an attorney to now being a law firm owner, and now it's like, oh wait, now I'm an HR manager and I'm the administrator and I'm all these other things.
The beginning is
the first
tough.
3 or 4 years. It was
Very
24/7. I don't even think we met our youngest until she was 7 years old.
I don't remember that first year at all. I don't. I felt guilty for a long time because I wanted to spend time with my kids. And that was one of the reasons when we left the other firm, Terence was going to go work at another firm because we were debating, should I stay at home with the kids? I never got to do that. This was the third. And it looked like something that would be nice, but then, we would both be miserable. We wouldn't have that relationship. We wouldn't be with each other all the time. We're with each other all the time. And people think, how do you do that? But we talk about business at the gym, or we'll talk about, the kids at work or whatever. It just makes things easier. But in the beginning, it was really, really tough. And once things started getting comfortable, it's the best of both worlds because you can still have a career and still have your family.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be, I tell people, look, I may be at practice with the kids or doing this from, say, 4 to 6, and then go home for dinner, but then I'm working from 9 to midnight, which is fine. I'll take that any day of the week. But
at least you get to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, we didn't even know our youngest was so funny until last year with New Year's when we went away to the Dominican Republic. She was hilarious. I go,
like, wow, she's really
you're
funny.
Pretty funny kid.
And our other one's like, you don't know that?
So going back to those those first couple of years when you were starting out and kind of getting all this figured out, there are so many other responsibilities besides just doing the legal work. I mean, there's executive work, there's admin work, there's financial work, there's market, all that stuff. How did the two of you, both attorneys, decide the division?
Who's doing what?
Right.
So I could say that I'm more of a 30,000 feet above type of person with very detailed implementation, if that makes sense. Renata's very detailed, who I can rely on because I know I'm going to make mistakes. That's baked in the cake, right? So I'm usually, as long as me and Renata and I will be faced with a decision, I usually, if I don't think it's good in the first minute, I just said, no, I'm not going to do that. If I see it's good, I'm like, all right, let's implement, right? Knowing that I'm going to make a mistake, but I have that ability to be confident because I know that she's going to help me overcome that mistake. Because she's going to be the one who's going to point it out, right? Whereas I'm just blindly going, well, I'm going to bulldoze through. How do you split? How do you split?
I don't know that we actually split it or thought about it.
Right.
I think it just kind of happened. The way we did it at home is the way we did it, at the firm. It's just, this was his role, this was my role, and little by little, we just figured it out.
And we had 5 years of training in the previous firm. We were the managing attorneys. We set up the systems. We set up the fee schedules. We set up roles for people. Like before we started managing the last firm, the turnover rate was atrocious. And then the last 5 years that we managed, not only was the turnover rate practically nil because you hired slow as opposed to what they were doing before, but I didn't really have to fire anybody, right? I never wanted to fire anybody in my life because
it's a terrible feeling.
It's a terrible feeling, and it's my fault if I don't put you in a position or a role where you succeed. Find their roles, right? And then apply positions and titles and salary structure. And if you do this and you reach this level, you're going to get X or Y or Z. So we had all those systems in place. We then just took it and improved upon those systems utilizing technology. So we don't have a practice management software program. I use Microsoft Office and I tailored it to what we need. So we used Outlook for our calendar, Outlook for our email. I use Teams for our workflow system. We built together all our practice areas. Lisa could probably go over this with you, but so at any time, at any point, rather than finding a file that could take you 2 days to find, I just go on my phone and I know exactly what's going on. I think we both talked about it. It's like when you go to the doctor's office, all of a sudden punching up something on the screen. They go, okay, last year you did this, blah, 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 blah. I wanted to be able to do that for a client.
Yeah.
And then certainly no paper files, right? Because look, I could be at a charity golf outing. You get a call from a client. They have a DNR and file for their mom, but they can't find it because they're drowning in a cup of water. But the paramedics are going to come. If there's no DNR they can show, they're going to work on this person, even though they're terminal. They're going to break the rib cage, a 90-year-old mom. And I could just email or text them, and boom, as soon as the paramedics come, here's your DNR, right? So whereas opposed to the previous firm, they would charge them like $75 to go look for the file, and it was 2 days later, a week later.
Yeah,
that's not customer service, right? So I think we always tell people we're a business. We just happen to be a law firm, right? And then if you want to get down to the nitty gritty, certainly yes. In the beginning, I did the QuickBooks. I did
I said I want no part of that.
The payroll and getting the malpractice insurance and all that stuff. Renata, we had a lot of connections with people that help us out, setting up the operating account, the tax account, the payroll account, the escrow accounts, the computers. I mean, I was the IT guy, right? And then
and I had to pick up the slack with the matters that we were dealing with.
And then home.
Yeah,
It was never home. It was a Saturday. I'd be in the office at midnight putting together like the computer for the next employee, right? But it was necessary. It was the only way you could do it, right? And then I realized you got to outsource some of this stuff. Right?
But it's hard to let go.
Hard to let go.
it is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and then there's always that time of I've got to take time to now train somebody or to teach them our systems, but I could be using that time for something else. But it's like an investment in anything else, right? I'm going to get a return for it later, but I got to suck it up right now.
I'll tell you, we were very lucky though, because when we left, and it was just us in the beginning, and then some of the people that we worked with in the past, who we'd worked with for years and knew the systems, knew how we worked, they came with us.
And they're younger.
They joined us later.
And they're younger.
Like maybe, a year, 2 years later, right? So they came in. They may have not known our new systems, but they knew how we work.
So like our staff was average 20 years experience. Right, so nobody has that. We don't. It's not like you have some young, out of college, legal assistant who's never worked in a office before or anything like that. They all have responsibilities at home, and they know that we treat them well. And then we started doing bonus systems. We had pension plan, DB plan, all that stuff. But that's because we started meeting all these people through networking, and then. Now we have an IT guy. Right? I don't deal with any of that stuff. Now we have Elisa's developing the bot for us, so that's going to really, really eliminate a lot of that administrative, repetitive task stuff. And we just hired another attorney with 10 years experience, not a brand spanking new attorney. A 10-year attorney with this only in trust and estates experience, right? So we always tell people, look, when you come to us, yes, the prices may be a little bit or a lot higher than the other people in the neighborhood, but we're giving you Manhattan service we're a neighborhood attorney, right? So, and the other thing is, forget about lawyers, doctors, anybody. What's the worst thing you could do? What's the best decision? Mostly not to take a case on.
And that's the one thing that we did learn in our other firm. We had that experience. So a lot of times when attorneys start a firm, they'll take anything because you're trying to build a business and you're afraid, money's not coming in, especially if it's husband and wife. You don't have a salary at all. So you take anything. We knew from the start, we're not going to take it because it's not going to work out. It does not matter. It may look like it's good, but we know where this is going to go and we're not going to take the chance on it. And that's what bogs you down, is when you take cases that are going to go for years and it's just they're not going to go anywhere.
And then I think every business should really look at if you can build multiple streams of income within your business, right? So people say, oh, you're a law firm, so you make money from legal matters. Yes, separate them out, right? So I know that estate planning is great cash flow if we have marketing and we're getting the right leads, right? So like when we went, we did a video 2 years ago.
We checked it out. I was very, very impressed. I'm like, okay, these guys know what they're doing. And just the flow, the quality of lead magnets that you'll have it on the page, all that was very impressive.
Yeah, you have a funnel, the funnel, right? So the funnel, so once a client actually makes an appointment with us, They have been touched 8 to 10 times, and they have actually given a lot of information. So when you're filling out an 8-page planning survey, I mean, you're not just a warm lead. We're closing it, right? I mean, you're interested. Whereas opposed to a lot of other lawyers that they don't really separate themselves out their practice niche area. And then they get all these tire kickers or pikers, right? And they wonder why my phone's ringing off the hook, but I got no business. I said, because I don't know what you do either.
And time is the biggest commodity. I mean, in a business, because you can't make more time. So if you're wasting your time taking these calls or talking to people who are not really interested, then you can't work on matters that, will make the business grow.
I know lawyers are supposed to be respectable and this, that, and the other thing, but a lawyer hands you his or her card and it just says Terence Ricaforte, attorney. What does that mean? What does that mean? So on the front of our card is our contact information, specific to our website, right? And on the back of our card is all our practice areas. This is what we do, right? So, don't call me. I mean, you can call me. That's the other thing. You can call me if you have a personal injury case or a criminal defense case, and I will refer you to the best criminal defense attorney I know, the best personal injury attorney I know, best real estate broker. We get calls for landscapers. We have no problem with that because it's like the model with the CPAs, right? The clients are coming to them every single year, right? So then I tell the CPAs, you should check out if they have their estate planning or the financial advisors. So was it synergy, centers of influence? As I learned now.
Yeah, the whole B&I term.
Yes. And B&I. I mean, B&I was great for us. We were averaging 6 figures a year before COVID in revenue from there. And now we're back on track, but I don't know, the Zoom thing, it kind of loses luster a little bit, but the in-person meetings are great.
What sold me is I think I went to that meeting and somebody stands up, at the beginning, and they're always talking about the philosophies of B&I. And that day, somebody was talking about the difference in farming versus hunting. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is an organization I can relate to. And just got into that. And then because I'd been a teacher, the executive director just kind of pulled me up. And then I was training the MSP class and all those kind of things. And so just so many things I'm going to cut out of this and just know we're probably going to show it to some of our other clients and stuff, because we do a lot on lead management and intake, and it's just exactly what you were saying of being clear on what you're doing, who your ideal clients are. Are you pre-qualifying them? Are you warming them up before they get there? Because there's a lot of people out there that'll say oh, you just need to have the lead flow. And I'm like, yeah, that works when you have a dedicated sales team.
Right.
But when you're the attorney and you have to bill over here, spending time in a consultation with a tire kicker is the worst thing that you can possibly be doing. And that's what makes people turn off a lot of their marketing. It's I don't want to be bogged down with all this stuff. It's we just need to fix the processes ahead of that. And you can still have a really high conversion rate and only speak to people who are qualified and are ready to go, but still have good marketing.
You just have they have 2 flat tires. You just got to put new ones on.
100%. I think what surprised me the most about what you said, though, is that we talk to folks about this. It's kind of a spectrum of urgency in legal cases. So PI, and we've seen that marketing for PI is a little bit different.
Yes.
Because it's so urgent, right? Nobody wants to talk to a PI attorney until they've actually been in an accident, and then they're going to call a couple places, and if you don't pick up the phone in 30 seconds, they're calling the next one. Versus something like estate planning, where I know I've known people who have paid their retainers and started the process, and then took 2 years dragging their feet, getting all of the documents and stuff in. Right? It's on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. So I think it was very interesting that they could make that work for you. But I guess that they were primarily focused on the SEO side to be able to drive the traffic.
We expressed to them that's what we wanted to implement. I just didn't have the time to do all this content and funneling and all that stuff. And then they were not expecting 10,000 hits a month on average. Nobody was, right? So, but I think it's because we're such a niche practice, and because the average estate planning attorney in the U.S. is 67 years old. They're not going to be looking into SEO marketing or funnel or anything like that. People also forget that we've been doing this for a long time.
Because estate planning attorneys are either much older or younger.
And the younger attorneys, this is not sexy. They want to do, they want to go into data privacy, AI, work for trade. I get it, right? But the revenue is there. right? It's not going anywhere, right? So it's not like you have to go win the case or litigate something. So for us, like estate litigation or estate administration is the icing on the cake. That would be what the PI guys would say. I need 2 to 3 years of seed money before it starts coming in, right? So that's what that is. But what do we do in the meantime? Well, we have the estate planning, Medicaid planning, estate tax planning. That's the rent, right? That's the cash flow. And it's just, but you got to have a consistent cash flow. And the only way you're going to do that is if you have qualified leads, right? So you got to set up all these systems. I'm not saying that we knew exactly what to do, but we knew the overarching approach, and then we just found the correct company to take us home.
That's awesome. And were you all both doing BNI as well?
That's funny.
So I actually started BNI when they first started many, many years ago. I did it for a little while and then I stopped. And then when we went out on our own, I was doing not BNI, another form of BNI. And they were trying to get that off the ground. It wasn't as strict. I met this woman. She said to me, well, Terence should meet my husband. He has a great group in Manhattan. And so we introduced them and then he went to that one.
Well, we went to a spousal dinner.
Yes.
And I sat next to Joanne and Joe. And I sat next to Joe, and he's a New York Giant fan. I'm a New York Giant fan. He's a Met fan. I'm a Met fan. And then he's like, you got to come to this group. And I said, oh, I'll check it out. And then went there. It was 40 people, all right.
It was a great group.
In Manhattan. And I said, all right, let me see what we could do here. And then they took me on. I mean, let's be honest. At first, we started using them. Right.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's how it always happens.
So we used Joe for his State Farm insurance guy. We used him. Then we started using the health insurance person.
And the thing is, for Terence, there are 2 of us, so you get double the referrals.
Yes.
Even though I'm not going, I'm referring clients.
Yeah. So she refers and I refer. So then I started looking. Givers gain. We both gave a lot. So then I was like rookie of the year because we gave like I forget what it was, like $100,000 in closed business, but I made $60,000 in closed business myself. And then the next year then I made 100. I was like, this is great. Plus it was a fun group. And then
we have a lot of friends from that group.
I have a lot of friends, almost a decade. In fact, I was in Atlantic City for our fantasy football draft.
On the first day of school.
Was not the first day. So.
But I stopped doing it. As I said, at that point, I can't take another morning for my kids.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. And this is actually the first time in my career where I'm spending a lot of time with my kids, which is amazing because I never experienced it, but it took that long to get here.
Yeah, I always joke with people. I said, we took August off, right? But when I say off, I mean, we were in the office, once or twice a week tops. But this is the first time ever, right? This first summer. And the kids were just ecstatic about it. And luckily, we didn't have any real trail off in revenue because we have the systems in place, right? And we have the appropriate staff applied to the right roles, right? And then
we're also always available.
We also know, okay, now it's time to kick in, right? Last quarter, it's going to be full year. And we'll go crazy until probably June. Right, and then we can take the gas off the foot off the gas a little bit, but you're still going to take time off and stuff like that. But we know it's go time, right? We start from zero every year. Technically, we're not like a financial advisor has those receduals of the insurance.
Oh yeah.
Or the other firms that have clients on retainer.
Right, but we know that all this marketing, we're typically booked 2 to 6 weeks out, right? So it's.
But what benefits us as a husband and wife firm is that we're so different. So we have the same areas of practice, but we have different areas of practice that we focus on. So Terence does litigation, I do real estate, and we don't want to mix those. We just don't like that. And we think very differently. There are things we think the same on, but if we have a client that we just can't figure it out, we come to each other for a different perspective. And it's a completely different perspective. Whether it's right or wrong, it gets you thinking about something else. And I find that, a lot of other partners, maybe it's not like that. Maybe you pick somebody that thinks like you, whereas we're kind of stuck with each other, Or
if you're a solo practitioner.
That's very hard. That's so difficult.
I have a 26-year experienced attorney to go to.
Right, and vice versa.
Not just during working hours. hours. Like I could, like,
Yeah.
you know, when I'm sitting on the couch and she's yelling at me for doing nothing, I could say, "Oh, let me ask you something else. Let's change the equation. Let's change the conversation here."
Well, that is the one thing I do have to say that will create arguments in a couple that's married and, you know, works together, because usually you have husband goes off to work, wife goes off to work or whatever, and they don't know what the other one does all day. But especially if you're together, you're working from home, you know exactly what the other one's doing. So you're like, well, I saw you were watching TV that hour, or I saw you took a nap for 15 minutes, you know, and I was unloading the dishwasher and I was on the phone with a client and blah, blah. So it leads to more arguments, you know, and you have to kind of find a way where it doesn't affect you, because that is really hard. I mean, we're laughing about it, and, you know, it can affect couples that, you know, run a business together.
100%.
And
that,
We're laughing because we fully relate and understand, which is why I wanted to start this podcast, because I'm like, we cannot be the only people that this happens to. And like, how do you manage that? Like, how have you guys found a way to, I mean, you guys have been working together for a long time and you're still married and still looks like you're happily married. So like, how do you overcome those blips, like I like to call them, where things are not all pretty and roses? And like, how do you handle those disagreements, maybe in handling a client case or having to make higher level business decisions if you don't see it eye to eye? Like, how do you guys handle that?
A lot of tequila on a Saturday night.
Tequila on Saturday.
You know, first of all, one benefit is that our networking and kids' school events, we get to go together. Okay, so we have date night when we're working. Work disagreements about how to handle the business, those aren't to us that important. I mean, we'll work it out whether we argue or not, but I think we've learned to just let things go. And the more we do this, the less we fight. Or, I mean, you argue, but it's not for as long. Or let's move on. Or like this morning, you know, we're running around doing a million things. And I said, "You're being nasty to me." And he said, no, I just have a million things going on. Just ignore me. And like, you learn to hear that and say, all right, you know what? It's true. Let me not put any stock into this because it doesn't mean anything. And I think that's just practice. And it makes your marriage better too, because you bring that into the home as well, where you're arguing about all these things, especially when you have young kids. And it's always like, you did this, I did that. You know, that's the biggest problem. And you work on it. That's all it is. It's like any relationship. You work on it and you learn from it and it gets better.
And I also think accepting how the other person's brain works, right? So I only concentrate on what the next 18 hours requires me to do. That's it. I am not thinking about something that's going to happen 4 months from now or 13 days from now, because I need to get this stuff done now, right? And I also, if I'm exhausted, I need to re-energize. So if I'm sitting on the couch, believe me, it's not because I'm really need to watch this show. I need to decompress. Right. I need to decompress. If I don't
the brain is just not working.
The brain's not working. It's twitching right now. I'm not even looking at this thing.
It's twitching.
I am like, if I come home, I could just sit in silence for an hour. I wake up, she already has 17 things on the to-do list. And my one thing I want to do really is, well, I mean, maybe it's a little, I just want to go to the bathroom. That's it. Get a cup of coffee. Period, end of story. And then I'll move. I never even look at my phone in the morning for at least an hour. I think I accept I'm not going to change her, right? I'm going to let it go because it's really not material to the foundation of our business partnership or our marriage, right? And, but maybe she just has to get out every single potential threat, right? Guys typically just go, okay, so what's the problem? Okay, here's the solution. I think, I'm not an expert on women, but women will go through every single risk factor, even if it's like at a 0.1% chance of happening. But you have to let them get it out. And then you go, okay, let's tackle this one by one. And sometimes I'm like, I can't believe I have to do this. Like,
and sometimes I say to him, I'm not looking for you to save me. Do not. It's okay. I'm not.
Like, I don't need you to solve this. I just
need you to acknowledge.
Yes.
Or just listen that I'm verbally processing, because sometimes it helps me.
So I go, don't get mad at me. Are you venting here? Or are you looking for a solution? I'm venting.
Yeah.
No problem.
Do you need
Let me get a
do you
cup
need a
of
solution?
coffee, or let me get a drink, and I'll just sit here and listen.
Or if you're venting, it's not personal,
It's not personal.
to your spouse.
Yes.
It's just, this is how you're feeling. I think those are the biggest issues when you work together.
Oh yeah. Just in our house, it's just, do you need to be heard?
Yeah.
Do you just need to be heard right now, or do you need me to fix something? And
But I'm a big. I don't think you're never going to get there unless you're having those 18-hour tequila sessions on a Friday. I really don't think. That's my word of advice to young couples in business.
Well, that's funny because that was actually something that we like to ask every guest, every couple that's on here, is what advice would you give to another couple that was thinking about kind of going into business together?
Never stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? If you're not fighting, you're not talking. Yeah,
At this point, our kids, when we fight, and our kids at this point are like, oh, come on, you two, would you stop already? Because they know it's going to pass, it's quick or whatever, but you're letting things out and you're communicating. Whether you're communicating loudly or quietly, but you're still communicating, and that's really important.
Because our verbal fighting is very frightening, right? If there was some physicality associated with that, like people would die, like there'll be blood coming out of her, right?
Because we're both lawyers, we're thinking about our response and how we're going to make the other person see it, but it's verbal.
Also, it's pretty big personalities at play, right? So I think the thing is, the best part is, we're through, I'm done, it's over. Like, I know it's never going to be over, right? The kids know we're not getting divorced.
They even make fun of me when I say that.
They have impersonations of her. Oh, here's mom, it's over. We're getting divorced. That's it, I'm through.
I never say that.
Not
I'm
divorced.
like, I'm through. That's my word. I'm through.
I'm going to my
Meaning, like right now, I'm walking
to my
away.
mother's house.
Done. Yeah.
My middle one goes, and then 3 minutes later, mommy's over there kissing daddy.
It's like sometimes you just need to be like I like we definitely both have we both are very strong-willed. He's the oldest, I'm an only child. Like, we have very strong personalities. As I've gotten older, there are times where I'm like, I need to step away because nothing productive is going to come out of my mouth that's going to help this situation. So I'm going to step away and I'm going to take some time, and then we can revisit this situation, because otherwise it's just going to be like just.
Well, and even with our kids, so they'll get back and forth, bickering about whatever silly thing it is. And that drives me up the wall. Like that, because I am working from home, and just hearing that, I've explained to them, it's like, if I hear my kids being frustrated or distressed, I cannot possibly think. And even if they are getting distressed with each other, right? They're fighting with one another. And then I become even more confused, because it's like, oh, this thing that's aggravating my kid, I can't do anything about because it's my other kid that I love. We just have to calm down. So the big word of the last few months has been de-escalation. Let's practice those skills.
Yeah. I mean, I tell my kids all the time, this is a transactional relationship. I love you unconditionally, but if you want me to like you, right? Because you know how good it is when I like you. Same thing with mommy. You know how good it is. And we say the same thing with each other. It's a transactional relationship. Oh, I love you. Of course I love you. But I like you. I think that, and in order to get to the I like you part, right, you got to accept that the other person needs to say something, but don't take it personal, right? And then the same thing with the kids. I'm a little different than you. My kids are home. If I'm working, don't even bother me.
I'll be in the office and he's home and they're calling me.
Because whatever your problem is, work it out, right? I mean, when the big stuff happens, get some perspective type of deal, because you got to face that adversity. And I can't help you. I'm not going to be there, right? And that's the whole goal here. The goal is to give you an opportunity to go out and succeed in the world, but you got to do the work. I'm not going to, go tell the coach to play you. I'm not going to tell your teacher, change your grade because you failed.
That happens a lot.
I want you to fail as much and as many times as possible while you're in this safe space called mommy and daddy's house, right? Right? Because then when life gets really tough, and I think that's also for young couples. If you see people who've been married a long time, yes, they let things go, this and the other thing, but they've gone through a lot of hard shit together, and they overcame it together. So then you have the confidence that like, this is my ride or die, right? So everybody knows that we're each other's ride or die.
So what's next? Like, what are the plans for the firm? Everything else, or y'all just at a level y'all just want to maintain, or you just brought on one more attorney? Are there other plans?
I got to tell you, you guys are our training ground for podcasts. So you're our initial podcast. We're going to go on another one 2 weeks from now, and a third one, and then we're thinking about implementing our own.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, is that going to be around like estate planning, probate, that kind of thing, or
it's going to maybe start with that? But since we deal with a lot of families and dynamics, and we hear crazy things. Now, obviously, we're not going to repeat that, but it's really just more of dealing with people. We'll figure it out as we go. We haven't, specifically decided, but yes, we're going to start with the estate planning and kind of segue into family dynamics and relationships and things like that.
Oh, I love it.
Well, I can definitely imagine, having to deal with, especially probate, where there was no planning in place, and seeing all kinds of sibling dynamics.
I thought that it was normal where families all got along, everybody got everything equally when somebody died. I just found out that's abnormal. Really, the normal part is most families fight over everything. And it's really because they just...
It's not about the money a lot of times. It's about mom or dad loved you more or treated you this way and didn't treat me that way. There's a lot of emotion that goes into when parents die. Parents come in and say, I don't want my kids to fight. I'm leaving them equally, but I don't want them to fight. A lot of times the fights still happen. Now they may go away. You're not going to break up the relationship, but there's a big dynamic of how the parents treated the kids. And I think that's what we're going to, delve into as we go along.
Listen, I come from a family where we swept everything under the rug, right? No one knows. Let's not upset the apple cart. Her family
talks everything out.
Well, talking.
Yells everything out.
I thought they were fighting all the time. It just turns out that's a regular conversation. And it's like, oh my God, have they not seen each other in a while? No, they haven't talked to each other in 2 hours. Right? So that's probably a balance, right? I'm not saying, but I think you got to just communicate. And if you got something that you got to say, instead of building that resentment in the family, because that's what it is, right? So what are you going to do? Mom and dad, I was never there. I'll give them money, whatever it is. That's really not what they're after, right? So believe it or not, money can solve 99% of the problems, but it just won't solve that one where, you just don't feel like mom or dad or your sibling or something like that. And it's probably because
or you have
some misconception where what you're thinking or you're hurt about, if you just brought it up, it would probably dissipate like that.
Because it's in your own head. But what we find a lot is that parents tend to reward the child that is not as successful. And that's one of the worst things that you could do to family, because the child that is successful, that's built their own family, that's, bought a house, did this, did that. Oh no, they don't need it. But the other one needs it. And then you have this resentment between siblings because the one that is successful is, well, I worked really hard to do this. Why are you treating, Johnny differently or whatever? And Johnny's saying, well, I took care of mom and dad, paid no rent, lived in their house. Why I deserve this, If
you want them to have a relationship after you're gone, treat them equally and don't penalize the child that you raised to be successful and then became successful on their own. Why are you going to penalize them?
That happens a lot.
I understand, but when you put it in that perspective, then they go, oh, I see. I said, yeah, because guess what? If you give Johnny here, the majority of your estate, and he's going to blow it because you can't teach an old dog new tricks. What do you think is going to happen when he goes knocking on, his sister's door for help? The door's going to be closed. They're not answering. Mom and dad loved you more. They took care of you. That, don't come, that's it. So, but if they're treated equally, everybody knows that Johnny's going to blow the money and the sister's going to help out, right? Because that's her brother, right? So it's, you know, you gotta, I think you just got to be able, I think that the podcast really is more about giving people different perspectives on how to approach family dynamics, even friends, or even like charity or whatever it may be, tying in, of course, estate planning and estates and all that stuff, because that's typically when families fall apart.
Yeah, that's where the rubber really hits the road, right? Like all the therapy and stuff and counseling that you can go to and books and whatever you want to read before, it's a lot of it is theoretical, and you actually, I guess a lot of us don't actually see how well we did because all that stuff is happening after we pass. But yeah, you can learn a lot.
As Captain Kirk said from Star Trek, the pain is what made me.
That's fantastic. Well, there's a lot of other things that we could talk about, but I have to get ready for a Boy Scout camp out and taking my son to on that, and we'll let y'all get your.
Oh man, so that sounds great. Fun.
Yeah.
Listen, pleasure meeting both of you.